One, look carefully at what just happened and think about it quietly for a moment. United States national team has finished its World Cup qualifying games, and something very important came out of this tournament. But the biggest surprise did not come from the players. It actually came from the referees. Welcome back to WNBA Pro. I want you to focus fully on what we are talking about today, because this topic could completely change the way people look at the WNBA. What if the international basketball system just accidentally showed the truth about what has been happening in professional women's basketball? What if the fair and clear officiating we saw in the international games proves that WNBA referees have not been treating the game the same way? The big sports media networks and the people running the league do not want fans to talk about this. They want everyone to believe the same official story. But you are not just a casual fan. You can clearly see what really happens when you watch the games closely. This is not only about different refereeing styles. It looks like a situation where experienced players and people inside the league are trying to protect their own position. They do not want the system to change because it could affect their importance in the league. Do not believe every public statement that comes from the league. During Caitlin Clark's rookie season, fans were told again and again that she just needed time to adjust to the physical style of professional basketball. People said the hard fouls, the rough contact, and the aggressive hits were normal for a new player. But many fans noticed that referees often did not call those fouls. It looked like the experienced players were allowed to play very rough against her, and it happened almost every game. Some people believe it was done to stop her confidence and reduce the huge impact she was having on the league. And then the World Cup qualifying games happened.
The FIBA referees put them on notice, pretty much let them be known. We ain't doing what y'all would be doing in the WNBA. So, quite frankly, the FIBA referees set the tone for how a game Caitlin Clark playing in should be ref.
Think carefully about what changed in those international games. The international referees do not care about WNBA team politics or which player has been in the league longer. They are only focused on following the official rules of basketball. They do not worry about protecting the feelings of veteran players or following any unofficial traditions. When Caitlin Clark played in the international games, something very different happened. The rough hits stopped. The unnecessary physical contact became much less. Why did this happen? Because the referees immediately called fouls when they saw illegal contact. They protected the players who were trying to score. They simply followed the rules the way they are written, and the result was very clear. Without the constant physical pressure, Caitlin Clark played extremely well. She dominated the tournament and showed her full ability on the court. Many fans believe this proved that when the game is called fairly, she becomes one of the hardest players to stop. Some people also think this situation made the WNBA look bad because it showed a big difference between domestic league officiating and international officiating. At the same time, another major thing was happening. Right after the tournament, news came out that the league owners and the players' union had reached an agreement on a new collective bargaining deal. It was described as one of the biggest agreements in the league's history. But as soon as the news was announced, some veteran players quickly went to the media and started talking about it as if they were the main reason the deal happened. One of the biggest names mentioned in these interviews was Breanna Stewart, and many fans felt her comments sounded very confident and even a little disconnected from reality.
They're not finalized yet, so don't want to get too specific into details, but knowing that this new CBA is going to be historic. It's going to create generational success between players of all levels, and really excited.
Listen carefully to what was being said in those interviews. The message from some veteran players was that they created this historic success through their own efforts. But many fans do not agree with that idea. The same players who had criticized Caitlin Clark earlier were now saying they were responsible for the financial success of the league. They were trying to convince the public that their strong negotiating skills created this new deal. However, critics believe that is not completely true. For many years, the WNBA struggled financially and did not have very high ratings or full arenas. Then, Caitlin Clark became extremely popular during her college career and brought a huge number of new fans to women's basketball. When she entered the WNBA, ticket sales increased, arenas became full, and media attention grew very quickly. Because of this, many people believe the league's financial growth did not suddenly happen because of the veteran players. Instead, they think it happened because new fans started watching the league mainly to see Caitlin Clark play. Critics say the veteran players are now taking credit for something they did not fully create. They believe these players are trying to claim recognition for the league's financial success without producing the same level of impact that Clark brought in such a short time.
And really be in a space where we're in collaboration with the WNBA. We are now a part of a rev share system, and we are going to see the fruits of our labor in a way that we've never done before.
We're now thinking about one specific statement that was repeated in the media. Some players said they were finally going to see the fruits of their labor. Many fans strongly disagreed with that idea. For almost 30 years, the WNBA struggled to attract large audiences and strong television deals. Attendance was often low, and the league needed financial support from the NBA to continue operating. But then Caitlin Clark became one of the most popular players in college basketball history. She broke viewing records, sold out arenas, and attracted massive attention from sponsors and media companies. When she joined the WNBA, merchandise sales increased, ticket demand became very high, and television networks started showing much more interest in the league. Because of this, many people believe the current financial growth is mainly connected to her popularity. They believe the new television deals, the higher salaries, and the improved travel conditions are happening because new fans entered the league at the same time she arrived. That is why critics feel it is unfair when veteran players say the success only came from their own hard work. They believe the truth is that the league is growing now because a new superstar has changed the level of public interest. And when Breanna Stewart was asked what really caused this new agreement, she made a statement that many fans felt was completely unrealistic and did not match what they were seeing.
Negotiations with the WNBA. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that, what we could take from Unrivaled was just the way that players were treated and how we had a standard to make sure that everybody had access to everything that they needed to build their basketball, build their game in a way.
5. I want you to carefully think about this response and understand why many people feel it sounds very arrogant and unrealistic. Breanna Stewart spoke to the media and said that the Unrivaled League, which is her own off-season project, was the main reason the WNBA improved its conditions. In other words, she is trying to change the story and make it seem like that small new league forced the WNBA to grow. She is claiming that a new league that struggled with television ratings and only had a small number of viewers was actually the main reason behind a huge new collective bargaining agreement worth billions. Many fans believe this does not make sense. They think it is wrong to ignore the player who can attract hundreds of thousands of viewers even for small games. They also believe it is wrong to ignore the player who just performed extremely well in international games and won the MVP award. Because of this, some fans think she is ignoring the reality of what is happening in the market just to make her own project look more important. They believe this shows a big gap between what some veteran players are saying and what the numbers are showing. According to this point of view, the success of the league right now is strongly connected to one young superstar who has brought massive attention, more fans, and much higher interest in the game. That is why many people feel the comments sounded unrealistic and did not match the real situation in women's basketball. This situation also needs to be understood on a bigger level. If someone only listens to short podcast interviews and simple headlines, they may think everything is normal and the new agreement is just the result of normal negotiations. But some fans believe something much bigger is happening behind the scenes. They think the players' union and the team owners had very serious negotiations about how the league's money should be shared. Veteran players wanted a bigger share of the revenue and believed they deserved it after many years in the league. However, the owners may have felt that the league's recent financial growth was mainly coming from new attention and new fans, not only from the older players. Because of that, the owners may have felt they had more power during the negotiations. Some people believe the union could not risk canceling the season because the league is growing quickly right now, and losing a season would hurt everyone. In the end, a deal was reached, but now different groups are trying to explain it in their own way. Fans who closely follow the numbers, the ticket sales, and the television ratings believe they can clearly see what is happening. They feel the league is changing very fast and that a new generation of players is bringing a completely different level of popularity and financial